name is Leah Nanpe, and I'm with Namco Studio, and we're going to talk today about our installation for the festival called Nocturnal Topi-Scapes. Our idea is to take the city of New Orleans, its kind of liveliness, its urbanism, and to use that on another scale using the ideas of a topiary, which is sort of a landscape element that's used very, very traditionally, and it's very rigidly formed. With that, we decided to take something that's sort of natural and make it unnatural the same way the topiary does it. As you're taking something that's sort of a landscape idea into an urban context in the city. So taking that, we decided to think about the idea of creating sort of a new type of scape, which we're labeling as Topi-Scape. The kind of idea of a landscape that's urban and yet sort of plasticized and sort of formed using the dynamic and lively nature of the city itself. Using the concept, we also tried to look at it as a formal concept, not just in terms of ideas, but in terms of our kind of how we were going to make this concept kind of come to life. So we thought of it as this idea of these little sort of clusters, little urban growing gardens that live in the nighttime. To take the idea of the light and the nighttime and that sort of engagement with the user, the light will kind of draw people in to the privateness of the courtyard, so bringing that public and private sphere together using the dynamic of this sort of Topi-Scape that we've created. The Topi-Scape itself is sort of this plasticized form that lights up at night. During the day, it sort of has this plasticized look of a tree or like a plant in terms of its color, which is green, but at night it sort of becomes this glowing beacon to draw the users into the courtyard itself.
Hi, I'm Coco Hovagimian and I'm with Namco Studio. I'd like to just talk a little bit about our design process and how we carried the concept forward through to the installation. We basically started early on in the 3D modeling phases and looked at how we could create an output from our 3D model into a physical construct. Part of that had to do with looking at different modes of fabrication and especially looking at digital fabrication. We started early on by testing some prototypes using CNC milling, which is a computer numerical control system which allows you to work with materials and create an output from the 3D model, which is where we started with in the design process. Okay, so the installation is composed of two systems. The primary system is the structure, which were the pieces we CNC milled out of plywood sheets, and these were intersected and connected to create the primary form and shapes of the individual topo-scapes. And the system was also enclosed using an aluminum mesh, and that really defined and created the form for each topo. The second system was the skin, and the skin of the topo-scapes are made out of green translucent vinyl. And part of that material, which was really great to use, was that it allows you to create a different texture on the skin, which was ruffled and ruched together, and all of that skin was held together by the aluminum mesh. And within that skin there was an LED system embedded, so that at nighttime you have the pods, individual topo-scapes, creating that beacon of light within the space. Alright, so looking at the project as a contextual condition, not just within the city, but also within the site and the constraints of the site, part of the project was working with this urbanistic quality, but also within a courtyard and this garden, and that really began to create design moves within the process and dealing with the shapes and the forms of the Topi-Scapes, taking on organic qualities, very formal attributes that relate to this notion of garden, and how topiaries throughout history have done that in the same way, sort of in a way mimicking or relating part of nature, but taking on this plasticized, almost synthetic quality in both form and shape and the definition of geometry.
Hi, I'm Leah Nampe, and we just wanted to touch on the idea of the public and the city of New Orleans and its people and how they're going to kind of interact with our installation. As we've kind of explained, it's this idea that it's kind of this beacon of light drawing people in, and we wanted to kind of take on the qualities of the city itself, the city of New Orleans, where there's this historic backdrop, but this really lively sort of contrast of our installation, bringing in that dynamism of the city and the people itself. We're really excited to be part of the festival, and we really hope everyone enjoys the installation and really gets an opportunity to engage with our project.
The next stop on your tour is number 11, Orpheus Descending, by Jimmy Stamp, Sergio Perdilla, Frederick Stivers, and Gumbo Labs. The installation, along with number 10, are located at 1014 Dumaine Street.
The next stop on your tour is number 12, Open House, by Francis Baitanti and Brian Osborne. The installation is located at 1031 St. Philip Street. Walk back to Burgundy Street and make a left. Walk down one block to St. Philip and make a left. You'll find site number 12, Open House, just past the corner on the right. Look for a building with a wraparound balcony. The installation is on a second-floor rooftop.